Garner.
Okay, so an estimated 20,000 people took to the streets to protest the government's fast-track bill, which when passed will make it easier and faster and cheaper for big infrastructure projects to be built. Conservationists are horrified by the plans, and thousands of critics of the bill marched on up Queen Street over the weekend. Less concerned about the Powerball, which was just hours away, and more concerned about the Wrecking Ball, who they call Shane Jones, about to be unleashed by the government, you see. So what impact did it have? Well, exactly jack, as in stuff all, and it only triggered old mate Matua Shane to press send on the government's plans to bring back oil and gas into New Zealand. So 20,000 protesters, and no, the government did not pause. They didn't go all possum in the headlights or piss its pants or pontificate and ponder the future and second guess themselves that they might be wrong. They just went for we're going again, they said. We're going for it. They responded in the most brutal way, firstly with the one-fingered salute, and then came the start, the drill party, the theme drill, baby drill. Resources, Minister Shane Jones saying the Jacinda Ardern ban on oil and gas exploration is over, and he said New Zealand's open for business. Hoki mai e hoa, as in come back on into New Zealand, our friends in the industry, and it's Tala Mai. Welcome to Shane Jones. Shane, g'day, good morning.
Kia ora, morning folks.
Why do we need this?
20% of all our energy and electricity at the moment is dependent on gas. And because gas supplies are declining, our quality of life has been compromised, and we're increasingly relying on Indonesian coal. Now, the green banshees don't want to admit that, but the reality is the lights progressively are being kept on in New Zealand because of Indonesian coal. What a perverse outcome, given that Jacinda wanted to wave some kind of esoteric wand and transport us into a new future without oil and gas. So it's sadly a naive decision, and we're reaping the economic costs of it now.
If you look at our profile, has it been dirtier as a result of that decision? Have we had more emissions, or has it been dirtier in terms of pollution than it would have been otherwise with that policy?
Well, we are improving the amount of wind and solar input into the system, but that's intermittent, that's inconsistent. And when you turn the dairy cow factory on, when you turn the Fonterra, the steel mill on, you don't want to know that there's a cloud in the way of the sun. You just want to know that the lights are going to go, the power's going to flow, and more importantly, the damage that's been done in terms of soiling our reputation is less to do with climate change. It's more to do with the doubts and the uncertainty around our international profile as a source of destination, because people fear that we're heading towards a Venezuelan slope. And if I listen to the lotus eaters that were wandering around Queen Street, I can't help but agree with that perspective.
Why would they come back in, Shane? Why would any of these companies who've largely exited want to come back, given the indifference and given the concern from the Labour Party and their mates, so they don't like all this? So why would they come back in when the investment future's pretty risky?
Well, it's not only indifference. We're seeing full-blown hostility from the Green Party, where they're threatening to overturn the rights that might be allocated through the fast-track legislation. I think Labour won't find its way until they get rid of Megan Woods, the worst energy minister in the history of Western civilization. Until she leaves Labour, I don't think they're going to change their ways. She's too powerful, too used to getting her own way, but more importantly, she closed down the refinery, which has deeply wounded our energy resilience.
Yeah, but how do you get them back in, Shane? How do you incentivise these companies to get back in? You're going to have to offer them something, aren't you?
Well, historically what we had was a long-term gas contract, where and this time round we are already doing it, we're getting all the big gas users together and secure from them a long-term commitment to buy the gas in the event that investors are willing to exploit, develop, and produce a new source and flow of gas. What person, what entity is going to spend their own dough uncovering and enhancing the current gas opportunities unless they've got guaranteed customers? That won't happen for as long as you've got these green fairies threatening to close down the economy because they want us all to rely on wind and not have a backup of gas. So we've done this in the past through the Maui contract in the 1970s, and the officials no doubt will look at all the options to keep the lights on, because I'll tell you what, we'll wipe out our GDP if all of a sudden we start to go the way of South Africa and can't keep our lights on.
Right, well, there's already power companies that are offering bonuses to turn your oven off at night and things like that. You're already seeing that in New Zealand now. With this incentive, are you already in talks with the big users of gas in New Zealand to say, hey, sign here, so you can go to the market and say, here's the confirmation?
Well, therein lies the riddle, mate. Every time I open my gob in this regard, I'm given warnings by the gentailers that are partially share market companies, that they have commercial sovereignty, they can take care of the problem. And here you are telling me we're asked to turn our heaters off and our ovens off. So either you and I are wrong in being hoodwinked into making these savings, or they're wrong and they can't deliver. So we're looking for a solution from the commercial players, but obviously at the end of the day, the sovereign risk rests with the Crown, and there's a bunch of officials that were stood up 4 or 5 weeks ago, and they're going to bring a whole bunch of options back to the Crown.
Have you met any of these companies yet? Have you spoken to them? Have they approached you?
Yes, I've had numerous meetings with all of the gentailers and Methanex and the other large companies. In a day-to-day basis, Duncan, they've got to run their own businesses, generate a profit, keep their consumers happy. But they all identify the fact that you can have all the sun in the Sahara, you can have all the wind of Parliament, you cannot guarantee you can keep the lights on unless you've got a backup resource. And that backup resource has historically been gas. That was munted by Jacinda and Megan Woods. Now we've got Indonesian coal.
How many jobs would it create in New Zealand? Have you got any sort of estimates on if you did bring some of these companies back, if they did come back?
If you go back to 22, if you go back to a couple of years ago, the value of the sector was just nigh on $2 billion. The Crown receives about $250 million. Sadly, we're watching all the skilled men and women leave Taranaki and go to Australia because they're not confident that the New Zealand government wants a power system that involves the oil and gas sector.
Well, they've gone, haven't they, Shane? They've gone. They've left.
I beg your pardon?
They've left. These workers have gone, haven't they? They've gone already.
Yeah, no, a variety of them. My wife Dot and I, we know a few of them, and we're seeing my own whānau progressively decamp to Aussie. It's a deeper point. When are Kiwis going to stand up against this green piety? When are Kiwis going to stand up against this green naivety? Do you want a modern, resilient nation where we use our own resources, we lessen our dependence on centres of international uncertainty, or do you want to have this green nursery rhyme that on the basis of unicorn kisses you can keep the lights on? Kiwis, wake up.
What about more power cuts? If we don't go down this route, let's say we're unsuccessful with your push, if it doesn't happen, what's the chances of more power cuts and more blackouts?
Oh, look, we do have Genesis Energy. And sadly, Genesis Energy are often caned because they're the ones who import the coal. They have the Huntley Power Station. If it wasn't for that facility, we would have a very, very dangerous problem in terms of our energy. In terms of our energy supply. So that company and CEO, Malcolm, should be on the honours list. But it's now an issue that's beyond any single power company. We're wanting to electrify. We're wanting to expand the economy. The only way we can get out of the gargantuan hole that currently surrounds us, economically speaking, is to grow the economy. No economy grows in the absence of certainty around supplies of energy.
So all things going well, how many jobs do you reckon you can create?
Oh, look, I'd leave that up to the market, mate. My job really, as you well know, is to create certainty. I'm going to go out and meet various companies that work here who are hanging on by a thread and convey to them that New Zealand is not Venezuela, despite the best efforts of the Green Party.
Okay, hey, Shane, I appreciate your time. Just quickly before you go, what are you doing for Men South Week? You got a few sit-ups, press-ups, something like that?
My wife and I are getting ready to go away for 1 week to Rarotonga.
How outrageous.
I'm hoping that will have great impact on my mental and physical health. I'm sadly no longer walking my 10,000 steps as I was doing last year. I've got to get back into it. As you know, I'm a survivor of various challenges with men's health.
Well, good luck, Shane. Enjoy the break. Enjoy the week away. Appreciate your time on the program.
Duncan Garner.